Welcome back, my lovely friends, and thank you so much for being here today. If you love incredible stories where ordinary objects turn into extraordinary treasures, if you're fascinated by hidden value, rare mistakes, and the idea that something as common as a coin could secretly be worth a fortune beyond imagination, then you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most mysterious and talked about coins in American numismatics, the Liberty $1/4 1965 U.S.A. coin. At first glance, it's just a quarter, worth 25 cents. It's the kind of coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Yet under extremely rare and exceptional circumstances, this coin has been linked to a theoretical value of up to $7,310,000 million. That difference between face value and potential worth is not just shocking, it's mind-blowing. And the reasons behind it lie in errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, transitional metal issues, and once-in-a-generation possibilities that can transform a simple quarter into a legendary numismatic artifact. The 1965 quarter occupies a unique and powerful place in U.S. coin history. This was not just another year of production. It was a turning point, a moment when American coinage underwent one of the most dramatic changes it had ever seen. For decades before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver. That silver content gave them intrinsic value beyond their face value, and it tied American currency directly to precious metal. But rising silver prices in the early 1960s created a crisis. People began hoarding silver coins, melting them down, and pulling them out of circulation. The government had to act, and that action changed everything. In 1965, the United States officially transitioned from silver quarters to a copper-nickel clad composition. On paper, the change was simple. In practice, it created one of the most fertile environments for mint errors, transitional mistakes, and historical anomalies ever seen in modern U.S. coinage. The Liberty $1/4 of 1965 sits right at the center of that storm, and that is why it has become the subject of so much fascination, speculation, and intense collector interest. Millions upon millions of 1965 quarters were produced. They flooded into circulation, replacing silver quarters almost overnight. To most people, a 1965 quarter is just another piece of pocket change. But to collectors, this year represents danger, chaos, and opportunity inside the minting process. Old silver planchets, new clad planchets, experimental metals, worn dies, rushed production schedules, and enormous pressure to meet demand all collided at once. When systems are stressed like that, mistakes happen. And when those mistakes escape the mint, history is made. One of the most important possibilities associated with the 1965 quarter is the existence of transitional composition errors. These occur when a coin is struck using the wrong metal for its intended year. In 1965, quarters were supposed to be copper-nickel clad, with no silver content. However, silver planchets from 1964 and earlier were still physically present in mint facilities. In extremely rare cases, a 1965 dated quarter could be struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet. This is not a minor error. This is one of the most significant types of mint mistakes that can exist. A genuine 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet would weigh more than a standard clad quarter and would have a distinctly different sound when dropped. The edge would lack the visible copper stripe seen on clad coins. Such a coin would represent a direct violation of official mint policy and a physical artifact of the moment when America abandoned silver coinage. That historical importance alone would make it priceless to collectors. Combined with extreme rarity, it pushes theoretical values into unimaginable territory, but composition errors are only the beginning. The Liberty design itself, combined with minting pressure during this transition, opened the door to a wide range of die errors, strike anomalies, and visual abnormalities. Double die errors are among the most famous and valuable mistakes in numismatics, and the 1965 quarter is no exception. Double dies occur during the creation of the die, not during striking. If the die receives multiple impressions that are misaligned, every coin struck from that die will show doubling in specific design elements. On a 1965 quarter, doubling might appear in the word Liberty, in the date, in the motto "In God We Trust," or even in the facial features of Washinton. True double dies have a distinct, separated appearance. Letters may appear thick, split, or notched at the corners. This is not the same as machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like and generally not valuable. A confirmed double die 1965 quarter would already be a major discovery. When combined with other errors, it becomes extraordinary. Another major contributor to extreme value is the possibility of missing or altered mint mark circumstances. While 1965 quarters officially did not carry mint marks due to mint policy at the time, this absence itself adds another layer of mystery. The U.S. Mint intentionally removed mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967 to discourage collectors from hoarding specific mint issues. This decision created confusion inside the minting process and eliminated a key identifying feature collectors relied on. This environment increased the likelihood of die mix-ups, experimental strikes, and undocumented anomalies. Coins from different facilities were visually indistinguishable, making tracking errors more difficult and increasing the chance that extraordinary mistakes slipped through unnoticed. In such a system, a quarter with unusual characteristics, unexpected die markers, or anomalous features becomes even more intriguing. Die cracks and die breaks are another category of errors that can dramatically affect value. As dies were used repeatedly under extreme pressure to meet demand, they wore out quickly. Cracks began to form in the metal of the dies, and coins struck from these dies show raised lines where metal flowed into the cracks. In extreme cases, parts of the die broke away entirely, resulting in large raised areas known as cuds. A 1965 quarter with a massive die break affecting Washinton's portrait, the lettering, or the rim would be visually striking and historically significant. These errors capture the physical stress placed on mint equipment during one of the busiest periods in U.S. coin production history. The larger and more dramatic the die break, the more valuable the coin becomes. Off-center strikes are another visually dramatic and highly collectible error. These occur when the planchet is not properly seated in the press. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing and part of the blank planchet remains exposed. Minor off-center strikes are not uncommon, but extreme off-center strikes that still show the full date are exceptionally rare and highly prized. A 1965 quarter struck far off-center while still displaying the full date and major design elements would be a spectacular find. It would clearly demonstrate a mechanical failure during striking while preserving the coin's identity. Such coins often become centerpiece items in advanced collections. Broad strikes are closely related to off-center errors. A broad strike occurs when a coin is struck without a retaining collar, causing the metal to spread outward beyond its normal diameter. This results in a wider, flatter coin with distorted edges. A broad-struck 1965 quarter, especially one with additional errors, would be highly desirable. Double-struck coins add another layer of complexity. These occur when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes at different angles or rotations. The overlapping designs can create ghostly images, rotated impressions, or partial second strikes that look almost surreal. Double-struck quarters from 1965 are especially fascinating because they reflect the chaos and speed of production during the transition away from silver. Planchet errors beyond composition issues also play a major role. These include clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank is missing due to improper cutting, lamination errors, where layers of metal peel or separate, and incomplete planchets that were never fully formed before striking. Each of these errors tells a different story about what went wrong before the coin ever reached the press. A clipped planchet 1965 quarter might show a curved missing section, often with distorted lettering near the clip. A lamination error could appear as a peeling strip of metal or a rough, split surface. These errors are visually distinctive and highly collectible, especially when they occur on a coin from such a historically significant year. Strike-through errors add yet another dimension. These occur when a foreign object interferes with the striking process. Grease, cloth fibers, metal fragments, or other debris can block part of the die, resulting in missing or distorted design elements. My dear friends, I'm really glad you're here, because what we're about to talk about might completely change the way you look at coins forever. If you've ever held a quarter in your hand and thought nothing of it, if you've ever spent one without a second thought, then this story is especially for you. Now we are exploring the Liberty $1/4 1974 USA coin, a coin that most people believe is worth only 25 cents, yet under extremely rare and extraordinary circumstances has been associated with a mind-bending theoretical value of up to $7,270,000 million. That difference between face value and potential worth is so massive that it almost sounds impossible. But when we dig into the world of mint errors, production mistakes, mint mark mysteries, and once-in-a-lifetime possibilities, this ordinary-looking quarter becomes one of the most fascinating coins in American numismatic history. The 1974 quarter belongs to a period in U.S. coinage that is often overlooked. It came after the dramatic removal of silver from circulating quarters in the mid-1960s, but before modern minting technology fully stabilized error rates and quality control. This makes the 1970s a surprisingly rich era for unusual coins. The Liberty design, featuring George Washington on the obverse, had been in use for decades by 1974, and that long usage meant dies were heavily worn, reused, and sometimes pushed beyond their intended lifespan. When combined with high production demands and multiple mint facilities operating at full speed, the conditions were perfect for mistakes to occur. In 1974, quarters were struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities, primarily Philadelphia and Denver, with San Francisco producing proof coins. Each mint had its own equipment, staff, dies, and processes. While the design was supposed to be uniform, subtle differences and errors could arise depending on where and how a coin was made. Mint marks play an important role here. A 1974 quarter can carry a D mint mark for Denver, an S for San Francisco proofs, or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Each of these variations opens the door to different types of errors and value possibilities. One of the most powerful drivers of extreme value is rarity combined with historical importance. The 1974 quarter exists in enormous quantities, but that abundance makes the rare mistake stand out even more dramatically. When millions upon millions of coins are struck, even a tiny percentage of errors can produce highly collectible pieces. However, when an error is not just rare but potentially unique, the value can rise to unimaginable levels. One of the most talked about error possibilities for the 1974 quarter involves wrong planchet strikes. A planchet is the blank piece of metal that is struck to create a coin. In a busy mint environment, planchets intended for other denominations can sometimes end up in the wrong press. A 1974 quarter struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, would be an extraordinary discovery. These coins often have incorrect weight, unusual thickness, or incomplete designs because the planchet was too small or too large for the quarter dies. A wrong planchet error immediately signals something unusual. Collectors weigh these coins carefully and compare them to known standards. The standard weight of a clad quarter from this era is about 5.67 grams. Any significant deviation raises red flags and excitement at the same time. A confirmed 1974 quarter struck on a wrong planchet, especially one in excellent condition, would already be worth a significant amount. If such a coin were also tied to additional errors or anomalies, its value could skyrocket. Another major category of errors involves double dies. Double die errors occur during the creation of the die itself, not during the striking of individual coins. If the die receives multiple misaligned impressions during hubbing, the resulting die will impart doubled features onto every coin it strikes. On a 1974 quarter, this doubling might appear in the word Liberty, the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or even in Washington's facial details. True double dies are highly prized because they represent a fundamental flaw in the coin's creation process. The doubling is usually crisp and well defined, with clear separation between the doubled elements. These are not flat or smeared like machine doubling, which is much more common and far less valuable. A dramatic double die 1974 quarter would already be a major collector item. In an extreme scenario where such a double die is exceptionally bold, well preserved, and possibly unique, it contributes to the theoretical valuation reaching staggering heights. Mint mark errors are another powerful factor. While 1974 quarters typically follow standard mint mark rules, mistakes can still occur. A mint mark might be missing, weak, doubled, or oddly positioned. In some cases, mint marks can appear to be repunched, showing evidence of multiple impressions. A doubled or repunched mint mark on a 1974 D quarter, for example, would add another layer of rarity and interest. The absence of a mint mark where one is expected, or the presence of an unusual or malformed mint mark, raises questions about die preparation and quality control. These small details can make an enormous difference to collectors who specialize in error coins. A rare mint mark error combined with other anomalies can push a coin into a completely different value category. Die cracks and die breaks are especially common in high mintage years like 1974. As dies are used repeatedly, microscopic cracks begin to form. Over time, these cracks grow larger and become visible on the coins. When metal flows into these cracks during striking, it creates raised lines on the coin's surface. Some die cracks are small and subtle, while others are large and dramatic, cutting through letters, portraits, or even the RIM. In extreme cases, parts of the die can break away entirely, creating what is known as a cud. A cud appears as a raised, blob-like area on the coin, often at the rim, where part of the design is missing. A 1974 quarter with a massive cut affecting a significant portion of the design would be visually striking and highly collectible. Such coins show the physical breakdown of minting equipment and are tangible evidence of the intense production pressures of the time. Off-center strikes are another type of error that captures attention instantly. These occur when the planchet is not properly centered in the striking chamber. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, and part of the blank metal is visible. The more off-center the strike, the more dramatic the appearance. However, the most valuable off-center strikes are those that still show the full date and major design elements. A heavily off-center 1974 quarter that still clearly shows the year would be a rare and exciting find. Broad strikes are closely related to off-center strikes but involve a different mechanism. In a broad strike, the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally shapes the edge. This allows the metal to spread outward, creating a wider, thinner coin with distorted edges. A broad-struck 1974 quarter can look completely different from a normal coin, and collectors love these dramatic deviations from the standard design. Double strikes and multiple strikes add another layer of complexity. These errors occur when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with slight rotation or offset between strikes. The overlapping designs can create ghostly images, rotated features, or partial impressions that look almost surreal. A double-struck 1974 quarter, especially one with clearly visible multiple impressions, would be a standout piece in any collection. Strike-through errors are also significant. These happen when a foreign object interferes with the striking process. Grease, metal shavings, cloth fibers, or other debris can block part of the die, resulting in missing or distorted design elements. A clear strike-through on a 1974 quarter that affects major features like the portrait or lettering would be considered a strong error and highly collectible. Clipped planchets are another fascinating category. These occur when the metal strip used to create planchets is misfed into the cutting machine, resulting in blanks with missing sections. The resulting coins have curved or straight clips where metal is missing. On a 1974 quarter, a large, clean clip with visible distortion of nearby letters would be a desirable error. Multiple clips or unusually shaped clips increase rarity even further. Lamination errors occur when the metal layers of the planchet separate or peel due to impurities or bonding issues. These errors can appear as cracks, flaps, or peeling sections on the coin's surface. A lamination error on a 1974 quarter adds texture and uniqueness, making the coin visually and historically interesting. Weight and thickness anomalies are often overlooked by casual collectors, but they are crucial in identifying rare errors. A quarter that is significantly lighter or heavier than normal could indicate missing metal, extra metal, or an incorrect planchet. Dear viewers, I truly appreciate you taking the time to join me, because what we're about to explore is one of those stories that can completely change how you see everyday objects. If you've ever held a quarter in your hand and thought of it as nothing more than spare change, then this journey is especially for you. Now we are diving deeply into the fascinating and almost unbelievable story of the Liberty $1/4 1978 USA coin. On the surface, it is an ordinary 25-cent piece, the kind of coin that passes through countless hands without a second glance. Yet under extraordinarily rare and exceptional circumstances, this very coin has been associated with a theoretical value of up to $7,220,000 million. The difference between that face value and its potential worth is so extreme that it seems unreal. But when we examine the errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, production flaws, and historical possibilities tied to the 1978 quarter, a powerful and compelling story begins to unfold. The year 1978 sits in an interesting place in American coinage history. By this time, silver had been completely removed from circulating quarters for more than a decade. The copper nickel-clad composition was well established, and the Washinton quarter design, often referred to as a Liberty quarter because of the symbolism it represents, had become a familiar part of everyday life. Millions upon millions of quarters were produced every year to meet the demands of commerce, vending machines, parking meters, and daily transactions. Because of this massive production volume, most people assume that coins from this era cannot possibly be rare or valuable. However, history has shown again and again that high production numbers often create the perfect environment for rare and spectacular mistakes. In 1978, quarters were primarily struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with proof versions produced at San Francisco. Each of these facilities operated under immense pressure to meet national demand. High-speed presses, overworked dies, and constant planchet feeding created conditions where errors were not just possible, but inevitable. Most of these errors were caught and destroyed before leaving the mint, but a small number escaped into circulation. Those survivors are the coins that ignite the imagination of collectors today. One of the most important ideas to understand when talking about extreme coin values is that rarity alone is not enough. A coin becomes truly valuable when rarity is combined with historical context, visual impact, collector demand, and authenticity. The 1978 quarter has the potential to meet all of these criteria when the right type of error or combination of errors is present. In the most extreme and theoretical cases, a unique or nearly unique example with extraordinary characteristics could command values that reach into unimaginable territory. Wrong planchet errors are among the most powerful drivers of high value. A planchet is the blank metal disc that is struck to create a coin. In a busy mint environment, planchets intended for other denominations can sometimes be fed into the wrong press. A 1978 quarter struck on a planchet meant for a dime, a nickel, a foreign coin, or even a leftover experimental planchet would immediately stand out. Such a coin would have the wrong weight, thickness, and sometimes an incomplete or distorted design. These errors are dramatic and unmistakable. Imagine a 1978 quarter struck on a dime planchet. The coin would be smaller than normal, with parts of the design missing because the blank was too small to fully receive the quarter design. Or imagine a quarter struck on a planchet intended for a $50 or a foreign coin, resulting in a coin that is unusually thick or oversized. These types of errors are instantly recognizable and highly prized. When authenticated and preserved in excellent condition, they can reach astonishing values. Another category that contributes heavily to extreme valuation is double die errors. Double dies occur during the creation of the die itself, not during the striking of individual coins. If the die receives multiple misaligned impressions during hubbing, every coin struck from that die will show the same doubling. On a 1978 quarter, this doubling might appear in the word Liberty, in the date, in the motto "In God We Trust," or in Washington's facial features. True double dies show clear separation between the doubled elements. Letters may appear thick, split, or notched, and numbers in the date may look doubled or shadowed. These are very different from machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like and generally adds little value. A strong double die 1978 quarter would already be a major collector piece. If such a coin were also tied to additional errors or exceptional preservation, its value would rise dramatically. Mint mark errors play a crucial role in the story of the 1978 quarter. Quarters from this year may feature a D mint mark for Denver, an S for San Francisco proofs, or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Errors involving mint marks include missing mint marks where one should be present, weak or incomplete mint marks, doubled mint marks, or mint marks that are oddly shaped or positioned. A doubled mint mark, for example, occurs when the mint mark punch strikes the die more than once in slightly different positions. This creates the appearance of overlapping or shadowed letters. These errors are subtle but highly desirable, especially when they are clearly visible. A rare mint mark error on a 1978 quarter adds another layer of intrigue and value, particularly when combined with other anomalies. Die cracks and die breaks are another major source of collectible errors. As dies are used repeatedly, they begin to wear out. Microscopic cracks form in the steel, and over time, these cracks become larger. When metal flows into these cracks during striking, it creates raised lines on the coin's surface. Some die cracks are small and barely noticeable, while others are large and dramatic, cutting across major design elements. In extreme cases, parts of the die break away entirely, creating what is known as a cud. A cud appears as a raised, blob-like area on the coin, often at the rim, where part of the design is missing. A 1978 quarter with a massive cut affecting Washington's portrait, the lettering, or the rim would be visually striking and highly collectible. These coins are physical evidence of the stress placed on minting equipment during high production periods. Off-center strikes are among the most visually dramatic errors a coin can have. These occur when the planchet is not properly seated in the striking chamber. As a result, the coin is struck partially off-center, leaving part of the design missing and part of the blank planchet visible. The more off-center the strike, the more dramatic the appearance. However, the most valuable off-center strikes are those that still show the full date. A heavily off-center 1978 quarter with the complete date visible would be a rare and exciting find. Broad strikes are closely related to off-center errors but involve a different mechanism. In a broad strike, the coin is struck without the retaining collar that normally shapes the edge. This allows the metal to spread outward, creating a wider and flatter coin with distorted edges. A broad-struck 1978 quarter looks noticeably different from a normal coin and is highly attractive to error collectors. Double strikes and multiple strikes add yet another layer of complexity. These errors occur when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with rotation or offset between strikes. The resulting overlapping designs can look ghostly or surreal. A double-struck 1978 quarter, especially one with clear rotation between strikes, would be a standout piece in any collection. Strike-through errors occur when a foreign object interferes with the striking process. Grease, metal shavings, cloth fibers, or other debris can block part of the die, resulting in missing or distorted design elements. A clear strike-through on a 1978 quarter that affects major features like Washington's face or the lettering would be considered a strong error and highly collectible. Clipped planchets are another fascinating category. These occur when the metal strip used to create planchets is misaligned during cutting, resulting in blanks with missing sections. The resulting coins have curved or straight clips where metal is missing. On a 1978 quarter, a large, clean clip with distortion of nearby letters would be a desirable error. Multiple clips or unusually shaped clips increase rarity and value even further. Lamination errors occur when the metal layers of the planchet separate or peel due to impurities or bonding issues. These errors can appear as cracks, flaps, or peeling sections on the coin's surface. A lamination error on a 1978 quarter adds texture and uniqueness, making the coin visually distinctive and historically interesting. Weight and thickness anomalies are often overlooked by casual collectors, but they are critical in identifying rare errors. A standard 1978 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. Any significant deviation could indicate missing metal, extra metal, or an incorrect planchet. Serious collectors use precise scales and measuring tools to examine their coins. In many famous discoveries, unusual weight was the first clue that a coin was something extraordinary. Condition is one of the most important factors in determining value. My very important viewers, I'm thrilled to have you here because what we're about to explore is truly extraordinary. If you've ever looked at a quarter in your pocket and thought of it as nothing more than a small piece of change, this video might completely change the way you see coins forever. Now we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins in American numismatics, the Liberty $1/4 1979 U.S.A. coin. At first glance, it's a standard quarter, worth 25 cents. But under incredibly rare and specific circumstances, this coin has been associated with a theoretical value of up to $7,190,000 million. That's a mind-blowing difference between face value and potential worth, and it all comes down to errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, production quirks, and once-in-a-lifetime possibilities that can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. The 1979 quarter occupies a unique place in the history of U.S. coinage. By this time, silver had long been removed from circulating quarters, replaced by the copper nickel-clad composition that had become standard after the 1965 transition. This meant that the intrinsic metal value was relatively low, but the potential for minting errors remained. The Washinton quarter design had been in circulation for decades, yet the dies used to strike these coins were subjected to enormous production pressures. Millions of coins were required each year, and the machinery and staff were operating at maximum capacity. While most coins were perfectly normal, a tiny fraction experienced anomalies that make them highly desirable today. In 1979, quarters were primarily produced at the Denver Mint, with the D mint mark indicating their origin. Philadelphia also struck coins but without a mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins for collectors. Each mint had its own dies, equipment, and processes. While the designs were intended to be uniform, slight differences, errors, and anomalies could appear depending on where and how a coin was struck. These differences became critical in determining rarity and value. One of the most significant factors contributing to extreme value is rarity combined with historical context. While millions of quarters were produced in 1979, rare errors stand out even more against such vast numbers. The potential for a coin to be unique or one of only a few known examples dramatically increases its desirability. In theory, a 1979 quarter with an extraordinary combination of errors could reach values that are almost unimaginable. One of the most dramatic possibilities involves wrong planchet errors. A planchet is the blank metal disc that is struck to create a coin. In a busy mint, it's possible for planchets intended for different denominations to end up in the wrong press. A 1979 quarter struck on a planchet intended for a dime, nickel, or foreign coin would immediately stand out. These coins would have incorrect weight, thickness, or incomplete designs. Such errors are visually striking and instantly recognizable to collectors. For example, a 1979 quarter struck on a dime planchet would appear smaller than normal, with parts of the design missing. Conversely, a quarter struck on a $half planchet would be oversized and unusually thick. Both scenarios are incredibly rare, and when authenticated and preserved in excellent condition, coins like these can achieve staggering values, especially if they are the only known examples. Another major contributor to potential value is double die errors. Double dies occur during the creation of the die itself, when multiple impressions are misaligned during the hubbing process. Every coin struck from a double die will show the same doubled features. On a 1979 quarter, doubling could appear in the word Liberty, the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or in Washington's facial features. True double dies are highly prized because the doubling is sharp and clearly separated, unlike machine doubling which is flat and generally less valuable. A bold double die 1979 quarter could be instantly recognizable and highly desirable. When combined with other anomalies or preserved in mint state condition, such a coin's theoretical value could climb dramatically. Mint mark errors are another crucial factor. In 1979, the D mint mark for Denver was standard, but errors involving mint marks can include missing mint marks, weak or incomplete impressions, doubled mint marks, or mint marks positioned unusually. A doubled or repunched mint mark, where the mint mark punch strikes the die more than once in slightly different positions, is particularly sought after. These errors may be subtle, but they are highly valued by collectors. especially when clearly visible and in combination with other mistakes. Die cracks and die breaks are also significant sources of collectible errors. Dies are used repeatedly, and as they wear down, cracks form in the steel. Over time, these cracks grow, and when metal flows into them during striking, raised lines appear on the coin's surface. Some cracks are minor, while others are dramatic, cutting through letters, numbers, or Washington's portrait. In extreme cases, parts of the die break away entirely, creating a cut-raised, blob-like areas on the coin where part of the design is missing. A 1979 D quarter with a large cut affecting major design elements would be visually striking and highly collectible. Off-center strikes create some of the most dramatic visual errors. These occur when the planchet is not properly centered in the striking chamber, resulting in part of the design being missing and part of the blank visible. The value of off-center strikes depends on how much of the design is present, with coins that still show the full date and significant design elements being the most desirable. A heavily off-center 1979 D quarter with the complete date would be rare and exciting to collectors. Broad strikes are related but slightly different. In a broad strike, the coin is struck without the retaining collar, allowing metal to spread outward, creating a wider, thinner coin with distorted edges. A broad-struck 1979 D quarter is visually distinct and highly prized in the error coin community. Double strikes and multiple strikes add another layer of complexity. These errors happen when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes at different rotations or offsets. The resulting overlapping designs can appear ghostly or surreal. A double-struck 1979 D quarter with clear rotation would be a centerpiece in any collection. Strike-through errors occur when foreign objects interfere with the striking process, such as cloth fibers, metal shavings, or grease. These block parts of the die, leading to missing or distorted design elements. A clear strike-through on a 1979 D quarter affecting major features would be considered a significant error. Clipped planchets are another fascinating type of error. These occur when the metal strip used to create blanks is misfed into the cutting machine, resulting in planchets with missing sections. Clipped 1979 D quarters might have curved or straight missing sections, sometimes with distortion of nearby letters. Large, clean clips are especially desirable. Multiple clips or unusually shaped clips increase rarity and collector value. Lamination errors occur when the metal layers of a planchet separate or peel, creating cracks, flaps, or peeling areas on the coin's surface. These errors make each coin unique and highly collectible, particularly when combined with other anomalies. Weight and thickness anomalies are critical for identifying rare errors. A standard 1979 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, and deviations can signal missing or extra metal or incorrect planchets. Serious collectors often use precise scales and calipers to identify potential errors, and in some legendary cases, weight discrepancies were the first clue that a coin was extraordinary. Condition is also a major determinant of value. A rare error in poor condition is worth far less than the same error preserved in mint state. A 1979 D quarter with bold errors and clean surfaces, sharp details, and original luster could see its theoretical value skyrocket. The better the condition, the more dramatic the difference in potential worth. Authentication is absolutely essential when discussing coins of extreme value. Claims of multi-million or multi-billion-dollar worth require thorough examination by professional grading and authentication services. Experts assess metal composition, weight, die characteristics, strike quality, and surface features to confirm authenticity and rule out post-mint damage or alterations. A 1979 D quarter with a theoretical value of $7,190,000 million would require overwhelming evidence from top numismatic authorities. Provenance further enhances value. A coin with a documented history of discovery, previous ownership, and professional verification carries more weight than one with uncertain origins. Stories of where a rare 1979 D quarter was found, whether in circulation, a coin roll, or inherited from a long-forgotten collection, become part of its appeal and identity. Market demand is a major driver of extreme values. My great coin collectors, I'm genuinely excited to have you here because we are about to explore a story that can completely change the way you look at coins, particularly everyday quarters that most people consider ordinary. If you've ever held a quarter in your hand and thought of it simply as 25 cents, then you are in for a fascinating journey. Now we're going to dive deep into the Liberty $1/4 1980 U.S.A. coin, a coin that, while seemingly ordinary, has the potential under exceptionally rare and specific circumstances to be worth an astonishing $7,170,000 million. That staggering difference between its face value and potential worth is a testament to the incredible world of numismatics, where errors, mint mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and once-in-a-lifetime possibilities can transform a common coin into a priceless treasure. The year 1980 marked a significant era in American coinage. Silver had long been removed from circulation quarters, leaving the copper nickel-clad composition as the standard. The Washington quarter design, often referred to as the Liberty Quarter due to the enduring symbolism of freedom and American ideals, was already well established, having circulated for decades. Millions of quarters were struck each year to meet the demands of everyday commerce, vending machines, parking meters, and countless other transactions. Amid this massive production, the potential for rare and extraordinary mistakes was always present. Most coins were perfectly normal, but a very small fraction experienced anomalies that have become highly coveted by collectors today. The 1980 D quarter was primarily produced at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark. Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins for collectors. Each mint had its own set of dies, staff, and machinery, and while the design was intended to be uniform across all facilities, small differences or errors could occur depending on the specific conditions at each mint. These subtle variations are critical to understanding the rarity and potential value of certain 1980 D quarters. Rarity alone is not enough to create extraordinary value. For a coin to be truly valuable, it must combine scarcity with historical significance, visual impact, collector demand, and verified authenticity. The 1980 D quarter has the potential to meet all of these criteria under the right circumstances. In extreme cases, where unique or near-unique examples with dramatic errors exist, the theoretical value can reach levels that are almost unimaginable. One of the most significant sources of extreme value is wrong planchet errors. A planchet is the blank metal disc that is struck to create a coin. In a busy mint environment, it is possible for planchets intended for other denominations to end up in the wrong press. Imagine a 1980 D quarter struck on a planchet meant for a dime, nickel, half-dollar, or even an experimental or foreign coin. Such a coin would immediately stand out due to its unusual size, weight, or thickness, and its design might appear incomplete or distorted. These types of errors are unmistakable and highly prized by collectors. For example, a 1980 D quarter struck on a dime planchet would be noticeably smaller, with parts of the design missing because the planchet is too small to fully receive the quarter design. Conversely, a quarter struck on a half-dollar planchet would be oversized and thicker than normal, presenting a completely different visual impact. Coins like these are extraordinarily rare. When authenticated and preserved in pristine condition, they can achieve staggering theoretical values, especially if they are unique examples. Double die errors also play a crucial role in extreme coin valuation. Double dies occur during the die creation process, specifically during hubbing, when a misalignment causes the die to receive multiple impressions of the design. Every coin struck from a double die will carry the same doubling. On a 1980 D quarter, doubling may be evident in the word Liberty, the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or in the fine details of George Washington's portrait. True double dies are prized because the doubling is sharp and clearly separated. This is different from machine doubling, which is flat, shelf-like, and less valuable. A dramatic double die 1980 D quarter could be instantly recognizable to collectors. When combined with other anomalies, preservation in mint state condition, and rarity, such a coin's theoretical value skyrockets. Mint mark errors are another important factor. In 1980, the D mint mark was standard for Denver coins. Errors involving mint marks can include missing mint marks where one should be present, weak or incomplete impressions, doubled mint marks, or mint marks positioned unusually. A doubled or repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark punch strikes the die multiple times in slightly different positions, producing overlapping or shadowed letters. These errors, particularly when clearly visible, are highly sought after, especially in combination with other mistakes. Die cracks and die breaks are further sources of collectible errors. Dies are subjected to heavy use, and over time, microscopic cracks form. These cracks eventually grow and, when metal flows into them during the striking process, they appear as raised lines on the coin's surface. Some die cracks are minor, while others are dramatic and can cut across letters, numbers, or the portrait itself. In extreme cases, portions of the die can break away entirely, producing a cut-raised, blob-like areas on the coin where part of the design is missing. A 1980D quarter with a large cut affecting major design elements would be visually striking and highly collectible. Off-center strikes create some of the most dramatic errors in coinage. These occur when the planchet is not properly aligned in the striking chamber, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and part of the blank metal is visible. The value of off-center strikes depends on how much of the design is present, with coins that still display the full date being the most desirable. A heavily off-center 1980D quarter with a complete date is both rare and exciting to collectors. Broad strikes are closely related to off-center strikes but involve a different phenomenon. In a broad strike, the coin is struck without the retaining collar that shapes the edge, allowing the metal to spread outward. This results in a wider, thinner coin with distorted edges. A broad-struck 1980D quarter looks dramatically different from a standard coin, making it highly attractive to error coin collectors. Double strikes and multiple strikes are yet another type of error. These occur when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with slight rotation or offset between strikes. The resulting overlapping designs can appear ghostly or surreal. A double-struck 1980D quarter with clear rotation would be a centerpiece in any collection. Strike-through errors happen when a foreign object interferes with the striking process. Grease, cloth fibers, metal shavings, or other debris can block parts of the die, resulting in missing or distorted design elements. A 1980D quarter with a clear strike-through affecting major design features would be a highly significant error. Clipped planchets are another fascinating category. These occur when the metal strip used to create planchets is misfed, resulting in blanks with missing sections. Clipped 1980D quarters might feature curved or straight clips, sometimes causing distortion of nearby letters. Large, clean clips are especially desirable, and multiple clips or unusually shaped clips increase rarity and collector value. Lamination errors occur when the metal layers of the planchet separate or peel due to impurities or bonding issues. These errors may appear as cracks, flaps, or peeling sections on the coin's surface. A lamination error on a 1980D quarter makes the coin unique and historically interesting, particularly if combined with other anomalies. Weight and thickness anomalies are crucial for identifying rare errors. A standard 1980 quarter weighs 5.67 grams, and deviations can indicate missing or extra metal, or the use of an incorrect planchet. Serious collectors use precise scales and calipers to examine their coins, and in many famous cases, unusual weight was the first clue that a coin was extraordinary. Condition plays a major role in determining value. A rare error coin in poor condition will always be worth less than the same error preserved in mint state. A 1980D quarter with bold errors, clean surfaces, sharp details, and original luster could see its theoretical value increase dramatically. The better the condition, the greater the potential difference between face value and market value. Authentication is absolutely essential when discussing coins of extreme value. Claims of multi-million-dollar worth require rigorous examination by professional grading and authentication services. Experts analyze metal composition, weight, die characteristics, strike quality, and surface features to confirm authenticity and rule out post-mint alterations or damage. A 1980D quarter believed to be worth $7,170,000 million would require overwhelming evidence from top numismatic authorities. Provenance further enhances value. A coin with a documented history of discovery, previous ownership, and professional verification carries far more significance than an undocumented coin. Now, dears, I am genuinely excited that you've decided to join me, because we're about to dive into a story that could completely change the way you view coins, especially everyday quarters that most people consider ordinary. If you've ever held a quarter in your hand and thought of it simply as 25 cents, the story of the Liberty $1/4 1981 U.S.A. coin will show you that what appears to be ordinary can sometimes be extraordinary. Now we are going to explore how this seemingly common coin can, under incredibly rare and specific circumstances, be worth an astonishing $7,150,000 million. That is an astronomical difference from its face value, and it all comes down to errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, production flaws, and unique possibilities that make certain coins so incredibly valuable. The year 1981 marked an interesting period in U.S. coinage history. By this time, silver had long been removed from circulating quarters, and the copper-nickel-clad composition was firmly established. The Washington quarter design, commonly referred to as the Liberty Quarter because of its representation of American ideals, had been in circulation for decades. Millions of quarters were produced each year to satisfy the needs of commerce, vending machines, parking meters, and everyday transactions. Despite this high production volume, the potential for rare and extraordinary minting errors was always present. Most coins circulated without incident, but a very small fraction experienced anomalies that have become highly prized in the collector world. The 1981 quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identifiable by the absence of a mint mark, which was standard for Philadelphia coins during that period. Philadelphia coins shared the same design and composition as their Denver and San Francisco counterparts, but the minting processes, dies, and personnel differed slightly, creating the opportunity for subtle variations and errors. Even the smallest deviation can drastically affect a coin's rarity and potential value, especially when combined with other unusual characteristics. One of the key factors that contribute to the extraordinary value of certain coins is the combination of rarity and historical significance. While millions of quarters were produced in 1981, certain errors or unique conditions can make individual coins stand out dramatically against the overwhelming numbers of normal coins. A coin that is unique or among a very small number of surviving examples can theoretically reach extreme values. Among the most fascinating possibilities for the 1981 quarter are wrong planchet errors. A planchet is the blank metal disc that is used to strike a coin. Under the high-pressure, high-speed production conditions of a busy mint, planchets intended for other denominations can sometimes end up in the wrong press. For example, a 1981 quarter struck on a dime, nickel, or half-dollar planchet would be immediately noticeable. The coin's weight, thickness, and design would be unusual, and parts of the design might appear incomplete or distorted. Coins with such dramatic planchet errors are visually striking and highly desirable to collectors. Consider a 1981 quarter struck on a dime planchet. It would be noticeably smaller than a standard quarter, and the design might be partially missing because the blank was too small to receive the full details. Conversely, a quarter struck on a half-dollar planchet would be oversized and thicker than normal. Such extreme planchet errors are extraordinarily rare, and when verified and preserved in exceptional condition, they can achieve values that are almost beyond imagination, especially if the coin is a unique example. Double die errors are another major contributor to extraordinary value. These occur during the die creation process, when a misalignment results in multiple impressions being impressed into the die. Every coin struck from that die will carry the same doubling. On a 1981 quarter, double die errors could appear in the word Liberty, in the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or in George Washington's portrait. True double dies are especially valuable because the doubling is clear, distinct, and sharp. This is different from machine doubling, which tends to be flat, shelf-like, and generally less valuable. A dramatic double die 1981 quarter is instantly recognizable and highly prized. When combined with other anomalies or preserved in mint state condition, its theoretical value skyrockets. Mint mark errors can also dramatically increase a coin's desirability. Although the 1981 quarter does not carry a mint mark errors occur in Philadelphia coins in other ways. Missing mint marks, repunched mint marks, or doubled mint marks, when present in related series, illustrate the type of errors that can occur during striking. While a Philadelphia coin typically lacks a mint mark, errors can still arise from die preparation or transfer anomalies that affect the overall design. creating subtle variations that collectors value highly. Die cracks and die breaks are further sources of collectible errors. Dies are subjected to repeated use, and over time, microscopic cracks develop. When metal flows into these cracks during the striking process, raised lines appear on the coin's surface. Some die cracks are minor, while others are dramatic, cutting across letters, numbers, or the portrait itself. In extreme cases, a portion of the die can break away entirely, producing a cut erased, blob-like area where part of the design is missing. A 1981 P-quarter with a large cut affecting key design elements is visually striking and highly desirable to collectors. Off-center strikes create some of the most visually dramatic errors. These occur when a planchet is not properly aligned in the striking chamber, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and part of the blank metal is exposed. The value of off-center strikes depends on how much of the design is still visible, with coins displaying the complete date being the most desirable. A heavily off-center 1981 P-quarter with a complete date would be extremely rare and highly sought after. Broad strikes, while related to off-center strikes, involve the absence of a retaining collar during striking, allowing the coin metal to spread outward. This results in a wider, thinner coin with distorted edges. Broad-struck 1981 P-quarters look very different from standard quarters and are highly prized in the error coin collecting community. Double strikes and multiple strikes are additional error types that can significantly increase value. These occur when a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with a slight rotation between strikes. The overlapping design elements create a ghostly or surreal appearance. A double-struck 1981 P-quarter with clear rotation is a highly desirable collector piece. Strike-through errors occur when foreign objects interfere with the striking process. Cloth fibers, grease, or metal shavings can prevent parts of the die from properly impressing the coin. This results in missing or distorted design elements. Strike-through errors on a 1981 P-quarter affecting major design elements are significant and highly collectible. Clipped planchets are another fascinating category of errors. They occur when the metal strip from which planchets are cut is misfed, producing blanks with missing sections. A 1981 P-quarter with a clipped planchet could feature a curved or straight missing portion, sometimes causing distortion of nearby letters. Large, clean clips are particularly desirable, and unusual clips can further enhance a coin's rarity and value. Lamination errors occur when the metal layers of the planchet separate or peel due to impurities or bonding issues. These errors appear as cracks, flaps, or peeling areas on the surface of the coin. A lamination error on a 1981 P-quarter creates a visually unique and historically interesting coin, particularly when combined with other anomalies. Weight and thickness anomalies are critical for identifying rare coins. A standard 1981 quarter weighs 5.67 grams, and deviations can indicate missing or extra metal, or use of an incorrect planchet. Serious collectors often use precise scales and calipers to examine coins, and unusual weight can be an important clue that a coin is extraordinary. Condition plays a major role in determining value. A rare error coin in poor condition will always be worth far less than the same coin preserved in mint state condition. A 1981 P-quarter with bold errors, sharp details, and original luster can see its theoretical value increase dramatically. The better the condition, the greater the potential difference between face value and market value. Authentication is essential when discussing coins of extreme value. Claims of multi-million-dollar worth require rigorous verification by professional grading services. Experts examine metal composition, weight, die characteristics, strike quality, and surface features to confirm authenticity and rule out post-mint alterations or damage. A 1981 P-quarter valued at $7,150,000 million would require thorough documentation and expert validation. Provenance enhances value as well. A coin with a documented history of discovery, previous ownership, and verification carries far more significance than one with uncertain origins.